Hey guys, kinggath here with another patch for Sim Settlements. This is patch 2.1.1, which I'm calling the Brewmaster. Now, for those of you who don't recognize the building in front of me, this is the brewery from Industrial Revolution. If you'd like one of these, which I highly recommend you get, you can upgrade it from the community well. And if you've already got one, you're going to want to refresh it because this thing is now fully operational and you can brew your own beer. So if you pop inside here, you'll first notice that there is a red notebook on the counter which has got some recipes, as well as the brewer's guide pages, which will give you some hints at how you can brew your own beer. For the sake of explaining it easily, I'm going to just walk you through the process here. So if you pop open a recipe, which I've got one in my inventory for the Atomic Lager, it has a few things on it. So at the top is the name of the beer, followed by the base of the beer, which is going to be a mash, which I'll show you how to make that next. And then a series of ingredients. So each beer requires exactly 5 ingredients. It requires a mash and then 4 random items from your aid tab. Now, some of these ingredient lists will have less than the 4 items. So it's always 5 items. The mash is the first one and then 4 other. If the ingredient list has less than 4 items, you get to just make up whatever you want for that last item. I'd recommend using things like water or random crops so that you don't accidentally hit the wrong recipe, because if you use too advanced an ingredient, it's very likely you'll just hit a different recipe altogether than what you were going for. But water makes a great filler for those extra pieces. So we're going to start out by cooking ourselves a mash, which we can do in this giant cooking pot inside of the brewery. So for that one, we needed a corn mash, so let's go ahead and create one of those. Now, once you've got yourself a mash, you've got to throw it in a boiler and do some hopping. So up here we've got our boiler, and we're going to go ahead and throw our mash in there. And then it's going to start asking you questions about how you want to hop it. Now, obviously, we don't have hops in Fallout, and I didn't want to create them. I know I've created some other random items for Industrial Revolution, but I opted instead to go with something a little more cute and take advantage of all these crazy ingredients we've got in the game, and a lot of which we don't have many uses for. So we're going to just start using the items that were on that ingredient card. So for bitterness, we'll go ahead and use our... well, we're not going to use our... armor. We want our gourd. There it is. Add something for flavor. Let's go ahead and add, how about some Yum Yum Deviled Egg? Those are delicious. And then our aroma, we'll go ahead and throw in that Nuka Quantum. And then add a little something extra. So our 4th ingredient, we don't have anything required by that ingredient card, so we can throw in extra. So I'll follow my own advice and throw in some water. Now, one thing to note here is you'll see that I have 10 of these. You can go ahead and put them all in, and it'll give you all but one back. So you don't actually have to like deal with the slider and moving ingredients back and forth on that thing to make sure you only put one in. It'll automatically give you back all but one. So then after you've added the 4 ingredients in the mash, it will tell you to close the container to start your brew, and the Brewmaster will move it to a fermentation tank tomorrow so you can brew another batch. So basically from there, you're done. Now you're just going to wait for this beer to ferment and get nice and alcoholic. And every 24 hours, you can come back and try out another recipe. And now a few days after that, the beer will be fermented. Your settler will bottle it up for you and leave you a 6-pack in this beer crate right here. Presumably the rest of those gallons the settlers are guzzling down. So not only are there those starter recipes in that book, but you can also just experiment and try and find out the other recipes. There are over 50 recipes right now. All of them have been balanced out and use a lot of different ingredients, so you now have some kind of ingredient sinks to use all of those and make some new beer out of them. Now, on top of them being discoverable by you experimenting, you can also find a lot of the more powerful recipes scattered throughout the Commonwealth. And those were left by the Brewmaster, who was written by Cast Iron Wolf. Please say thanks to him for doing that. There are some, on a lot of the recipe cards, you'll find some notes that will kind of tell the tale of a character that is wandering the wasteland that you may one day meet in some settlements. So I want to thank not only Cast Iron Wolf for doing that creative writing and giving a little flavor to this, but especially I Am the Danger, who put in many hours balancing out all of these different beer recipes, coming up with names for them, the ingredients, really just did a fantastic job. And I'm very excited to hear what you guys think about this. And also want to thank Ruined World, who made individual beer labels for most of these beers. So most of them will actually have their own labels if you are into collecting things and you want to use some OC Decorator action to make yourself some new decorating objects. There are a lot of beer labels to collect. All right, guys, I'm glad I got this out in time. I wanted to get it out into your hands to celebrate Oktoberfest, which starts this weekend. I had the good fortune of going there last year. That was basically my wife and I decided that was going to be our last big adult vacation before parenthood kicked in. And I'm glad we got to go because it was a ton of fun. So all you guys out there in Germany who are going to be drinking away, and for those of you guys who are maybe heading out there for the first time, just remember, knock ein Bier, because you can never have enough. All right, guys, as always, take care and enjoy the mod.